My name is Nicole Sanders, and the dirty cop framed me for drug possession at a routine traffic stop in Killeen, Texas. He didn't plant drugs because I was speeding or had a broken taillight. He planted them because I refused to pay a bribe, and destroying my life was easier than letting me drive away. It started simple enough. I was driving home from Target at 8 p.m. on a Thursday, bags of groceries in my trunk, still wearing civilian clothes from my day off, jeans, a t-shirt, hair down. Officer Marcus Grant pulled me over on a side street 2 blocks from my apartment. No lights, no sirens at first. Just followed me for 3 blocks, then lit me up when I turned onto a quieter road with no witnesses. I pulled over, hands on the wheel, waiting for him to approach. He took his time, running my plates, making me wait. When he finally walked up, his flashlight went directly into my face, blinding me. I handed them over. Texas license, current registration, everything in order. He studied my license like he was reading Sanskrit, his flashlight still in my eyes. Nicole Sanders, Killeen address. He looked at my car, a 5-year-old Honda Accord, nothing fancy. This your vehicle? Yes, sir. You know why I pulled you over? No, sir. You were swerving, crossed the center line twice back there. I hadn't. I've been driving carefully, watching my speed, specifically trying to avoid this exact situation. But arguing with a cop who'd already made up his mind was pointless. I wasn't aware of that, officer. You been drinking tonight? No, sir. Using any drugs? No, sir. You mind if I search your vehicle? Red flag. No probable cause, just fishing. I prefer you didn't without a warrant. His expression hardened. You got something to hide? Rights. He laughed, cold and sharp. You watch too much TV. Step out of the vehicle. I complied, slowly, hands visible. He walked me to the back of my car, positioned me facing away from the street toward a dark construction lot. No houses with clear sight lines, no traffic, just us and whatever he was planning. You know what I think? He stood too close, invading my space. I think you're a smart girl who made a bad decision, carrying something you shouldn't. Maybe for personal use, maybe for sale. Either way, that's a problem. I'm not carrying anything illegal. Then you won't mind if I search. I do mind. Without probable cause, you need my consent or a warrant. He stepped closer, his voice dropping. See, that's where you're wrong. The way this works is, I can search your vehicle if I have reasonable suspicion. And right now, I'm suspicious. So you can make this easy, or you can make it hard. Easy means we talk, work something out. Hard means I search anyway, and whatever I find, you deal with the consequences. What kind of working it out are you talking about? Smart girl, $300 cash. I forget I pulled you over, you drive away, everyone's happy. A bribe. Explicit, shameless, delivered like he'd done this 100 times. I'm not paying you $300. Then you're choosing hard. He walked to his patrol car, came back with a flashlight and rubber gloves. Stay right here. Don't move. He searched my car. Started in the front, went through the glove box, under the seats, in the door panels. Nothing. Moved to the back seat, checked under the mats, in the seat pockets. Nothing. Finally popped my trunk. That's when I saw him do it. Saw his hand go to his pocket. Saw him palm something small. Saw him lean into the trunk behind the grocery bags where my view was partially blocked. 10 seconds later, he straightened up, holding a small plastic bag with white powder. Well, well, what do we have here? That's not mine. No, it was in your trunk. You just put it there. You calling me a liar? He held the bag up to his flashlight, performing for the dash camera I now realized was recording. Found in the suspect's trunk during a lawful search, appears to be cocaine, approximately 2 grams. I watched you plant it. You're under arrest for possession of a controlled substance. He pulled out handcuffs, grabbed my wrist, spun me around against my car. The metal cuffs clicked tight, my hands bound behind my back while he recited Miranda rights I could barely hear over the blood rushing in my ears. This couldn't be happening. I was a captain in the United States Army, a military police officer at Fort Hood, a commissioned officer with 8 years of service and a spotless record. And a dirty cop was framing me with planted drugs because I wouldn't pay a $300 bribe. He put me in his patrol car, left my Honda on the side of the road with keys in the ignition and trunk still open, drove me to Killeen PD, processed me like any other drug suspect. Fingerprints, photos, property inventory. They took everything. My phone, wallet, keys, watch, locked me in a holding cell with 3 other women, and didn't tell me when I'd see a judge. I sat on the metal bench and counted breaths, stayed calm, knew that somewhere my chain of command would notice I didn't report for duty tomorrow, knew that somewhere my car sitting abandoned with groceries in the trunk would raise questions. Just had to survive until someone found me. 4 hours passed, then 6. The holding cell got more crowded. Friday night arrests starting, drunk and disorderlies, prostitution stings. Nobody came to tell me anything. Nobody offered a phone call, despite my repeated requests. At the 8-hour mark, a public defender showed up. Young woman, tired eyes, carrying a folder with my name on it. She sat across from me in a consultation room with the kind of expression that said she'd seen this story too many times. Ms. Sanders, I'm attorney Lisa Chen. I've been assigned to your case. I need to make a phone call. My commanding officer. I'm active duty Army. I'm stationed at Fort Hood. I didn't report for duty this morning, and they'll be looking for me. Her expression changed immediately. You're military. Yes, Captain Military Police, 8 years service. And you were arrested for, she checked her notes, cocaine possession? Cocaine that was planted by Officer Grant after I refused to pay him a $300 bribe. Chen's pen stopped moving. He asked you for a bribe? Explicitly. $300 cash to forget the traffic stop. When I refused, he searched my car and planted drugs in my trunk. Can you prove any of this? His dash camera should have recorded everything. Audio of the bribe attempt, video of him searching my car. If it wasn't erased. Chen closed her folder. Captain Sanders, I need you to understand something. Officer Grant has arrested 43 people this year for drug possession. Every single one was found with drugs in their vehicle after they refused some kind of arrangement. And every single one claimed the drugs were planted. Because they were. Probably. But proving it is another matter. Dash camera footage has a way of malfunctioning when it's inconvenient. Evidence has a way of being mishandled. Witnesses have a way of not coming forward. So he just gets away with it? He has so far. But, she pulled out her phone. You being military changes things. Who's your CO? Lieutenant Colonel James Reeves, Provost Marshal at Fort Hood. I'm calling him right now. She made the call, stepped out of the room. I could hear her voice through the door, explaining the situation, providing details. Then silence. Then raised voices. Someone on the other end was not happy. Chen came back in, her expression showing barely contained satisfaction. Your colonel is on his way, with JAG, with CID, and apparently with a very pissed off brigadier general who wants to know why one of her officers has been held for 8 hours without being allowed to contact the base. General Morrison is coming? She was already in Killeen for meetings. Your colonel called her directly. Captain, I don't know what's about to happen, but I think Officer Grant is about to have a very bad day. 30 minutes later, the police station lobby erupted with military authority. Lieutenant Colonel Reeves arrived first, his uniform crisp despite the late hour. Behind him came Captain Torres from JAG, 2 CID agents, and Brigadier General Patricia Morrison, the Deputy Commanding General at Fort Hood, whose expression could have frozen fire. The desk sergeant tried to intercept them. Sir, ma'am, you can't just... Where is Captain Sanders? General Morrison's voice cut through the station chatter like a blade. She's in custody, ma'am. You'll need to speak with the detective. Get me whoever's in charge, now. The police chief appeared within minutes, clearly roused from home, his tie crooked. "General Morrison, I wasn't aware. You weren't aware that one of my officers has been held for 8 hours without access to counsel or contact with her command? You weren't aware that military protocol requires notification when active duty personnel are detained? Ma'am, this is a civilian matter. This is a military officer being framed by a corrupt cop. That makes it my matter." She turned to the CID agents. "Get me every piece of evidence. Dash camera footage, body camera footage, the drugs allegedly found, chain of custody documentation. Everything." "General, we can't just hand over evidence in an ongoing investigation. You can and you will, or I'm calling the Department of Defense Inspector General, the FBI, and every news outlet in Texas. Your choice." The chief looked at her, at the JAG officer already typing on his tablet, at the 2 CID agents who outranked every cop in the building when it came to investigating military-involved crimes. He made the smart choice. "I'll get the evidence." They brought me out of holding in handcuffs. General Morrison took one look at me, still in the same clothes from 18 hours ago, exhausted, angry, and her expression got even colder. The escorting officer complied immediately. I rubbed my wrists, stood at attention. "Ma'am." "At ease, Captain. Are you injured?" "No, ma'am. Just illegally detained on fabricated charges." "So I've heard. We're going to fix this." The evidence arrived in boxes. The chief tried to hand them over discreetly, but General Morrison demanded everything be reviewed immediately in the station conference room with her people present. The JAG officer pulled up the dash camera footage first. We all watched in silence. The video showed everything. Grant pulling me over, the traffic stop, and then, clear as day, his voice. $300, cash. "I forget I pulled you over. You drive away." My response, "I'm not paying you $300. His response, "Then you're choosing hard." The search. The moment his hand went to his pocket. The angle wasn't perfect, but you could see the movement, see him lean into the trunk, see him emerge with the bag. The room was silent. General Morrison spoke first. "That's entrapment. That's planting evidence. That's corruption." She looked at the chief. "How many other arrests has Officer Grant made like this?" We'd have to review. Review them, all of them, tonight." She turned to the CID agents. "I want Grant arrested. I want every case he's touched investigated. And I want to know how this department let a corrupt officer operate for," she looked at Chen, "how long?" "At least 2 years that I know of, ma'am. 2 years of false arrests, 2 years of planted evidence, 2 years of destroyed lives." Morrison looked at the chief like he was personally responsible. "This is a disgrace." Officer Marcus Grant was arrested at his home at 2 a.m. He tried to resist, claiming he was being set up, that the video was doctored, that I was lying. The CID agents didn't care. They cuffed him, read him his rights, took him to the same holding cell where he'd put me. The investigation found exactly what we suspected. Grant had been planting drugs for 2 years. 43 arrests, 43 planted evidence cases, 43 people who'd refused his bribes and paid with their freedom. Some had taken plea deals, some were still in prison. All of them were innocent. The DA's office moved fast, dropped charges against me immediately, opened investigations into every one of Grant's arrests, started filing motions to vacate convictions, to exonerate victims, to undo 2 years of systematic corruption. Grant's trial took 6 months. I testified in my dress uniform, captain's bars sharp on my shoulders, described the traffic stop, the bribe demand, watching him plant the drugs. The dash camera footage played for the jury, his voice demanding money, his hand moving to his pocket, the planted evidence emerging from my trunk. His defense tried to claim the video was manipulated. The FBI's forensic team confirmed it was authentic, unedited, damning. The jury convicted him on 43 counts of evidence tampering, corruption, false imprisonment, and civil rights violations. The judge sentenced him to 25 years in federal prison. But the real justice came from what happened after. Every one of his 43 victims was exonerated. 16 people were released from prison immediately. 27 had their records expunged. All of them received settlements from the city. And the Killing Police Department was placed under federal oversight. Their corruption so systematic that the Department of Justice demanded complete reformation. I went back to Fort Hood, back to my job as a military police officer. And every time I conducted a traffic stop, I remembered what I told the jury during impact statements. Officer Grant thought he could frame anyone. He thought badges meant immunity. He thought destroying lives was easier than doing his job with integrity. He was wrong. And every officer who thinks like him needs to understand. Some of the people you pull over have the resources to fight back. And when they do, your corruption won't protect you. My name is Captain Nicole Sanders. I'm in the United States Army with 8 years of service. And I learned that dirty cops make assumptions. Assumptions about who can fight back, who has resources, who'll stay silent when framed. Officer Grant framed me because I refused a bribe. He thought I was just another victim who'd take a plea deal, another life he could destroy without consequences. He learned I was an Army captain when a general, a colonel, and military investigators showed up to get me out of his holding cell. By then, his career was over. His freedom was ending. All because he framed the wrong person. Someone who had a chain of command that mobilized immediately. Someone who had rank that made people listen. Someone who had the resources to expose 2 years of systematic corruption. Grant's got 25 years to think about that assumption, and 43 innocent people have their lives back because I refused to pay $300 and refused to stay silent when he framed me. Sometimes the person you frame for drugs turns out to be a military police captain who ends your career and reforms your entire department. Grant learned that too late, but he's got decades in federal prison to remember it. And I've got the rest of my career to make sure no other dirty cop thinks framing someone is easier than doing their job with integrity. Because it's not. Not anymore. Not when people like me refuse to be victims and fight back with every resource REG provides.